Hi everyone. Just gonna give it a second, let some more people join in. Hello everyone, I'm Priyanka Kapadia, Fashion Director at Vogue India. Welcome to How I Made It, a series of conversations with a stellar lineup of women achievers in the lead up to our very special virtual edition of the Vogue Women of the Year Awards 2020. In case any of you missed the action from yesterday, we had some incredible conversations and part one of our awards. Please go catch them on the Vogue India Instagram, YouTube and Facebook pages. I'm very excited about today. We're kicking off day 2 with a woman I truly admire. Our guest hardly needs an introduction. I've seen her grow alongside me from a Gen X designer to an OTT star. Throughout her meteoric success, she has stayed authentic to herself and unafraid of speaking her truths. She's bold, fierce, and an inspiration to so many. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Masaba Gupta. I'm just going to wait for her to add in here. Masaba, if you're here, please send me a request. I think we should go live. I think she's here.
Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for doing this and thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. I think it's the first time I've seen you in the last 7 months.
I know, maybe a whole year, in fact. So, well, virtually,
No, I'm so glad and thank you. How are you and how have the last 2 months been?
I'm very good. I think the last few months have been up and down. I think for everyone, like a roller coaster. But uh, I've actually emerged, I think, as a better person in so many ways, a better woman and a better daughter. And yeah, so I'm happy. I think changes have all been positive and it's been great.
No, amazing. And I think this has really been your year, but we are going to come to that because all my are about you. Today we're chatting with you on how you made it, your hits, your misses, your learning. I think you're such an inspiration to so many people out there, and I think everyone wants to hear your story. So I'm going to go back a bit and circle back. You know, you wanted to be an actor, a tennis player, a dancer. So fashion was really not your first choice from what I know.
No.
How did you decide to become a fashion designer? Like, what made you fall in love with fashion?
You know, I didn't fall in love with fashion for a very long time. I didn't fall in love with the idea of being in the business of fashion. I think for the first, after like maybe 3 years or 4 years of being, running my own label. And I was studying music in London and
Wow.
I was really lonely and I felt like I missed home so much. So I came back to Bombay and I told my mom, I said, I don't want to go back. So she said, what do you want to do? And we were literally crossing SNDT, which is my fashion school. And she said, admissions are open. Why don't you give it a shot? And I said, of course. I said, anything. I mean, I love clothes. Let's just see how it goes. And I got through. So literally, fashion just fell into my lap. And I don't think I saw it coming.
Wow. And
Then
you started
after,
at 19.
I started my label at night. And it was great. I think it had always been. I really loved the process of studying fashion, but I didn't complete my course, by the way, which a lot of people don't know. I went straight to Gen Next at
No
Lakme Fashion.
way.
Yeah, so I went straight to Gen Next and I started my label from my house, and there I was. But then for the first 3 years, when the technical bit of fashion kicked in, I was like, why did I pick this? But if you just, if you're patient, you give it some time, it just got better. And now I'm head over heels.
Amazing. And I think, you were at Gen Next what? You were all of 19 when you
Yeah,
launched your label.
yeah. I was
Crazy. It's more than a decade ago now.
yeah, yeah.
But I said this, Masaba, that you have successfully managed creative and commerce. Was that something you were very conscious about? I mean, your clothes are inclusive. Anywhere I go, if it's a young girl as young as 17 to an older woman, even about the age of 60, they manage to wear your clothes and feel great in it. There's a certain comfort in each of your pieces. How did you hone that? Is that something you were very conscious about from the very beginning?
No, I wasn't. I just think, when I started off, I started to design for myself. And that's why maybe you see that constant, wearability and this nature in my clothes, which is not intimidating to people. So I
Right.
think for myself, I remember being very intimidated by fashion when I was just a student because I felt like I couldn't touch and feel it.
Yeah.
And which is why I wanted to make things that weren't just wearable but also affordable. Now, affordability is a very subjective thing, but
Yeah.
in the universe I was in, or the people I knew that we needed to have pieces that people can just wear to a night out or even to lunch, or if they're traveling, whatever. It should be global. The pieces should be any part of the world and still recognized. So I think
Yeah.
that's what. But as the label grows, I think a lot of labels go through this where the commercial aspect always overtakes the creative, you know and you sometimes have to let it be and let that happen, because it's very important to sustain your creativity by being good at the commerce of fashion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
exactly what happened, and I balance it out. I do a lot of collaborations which keep my creative, which keep the juices sort of flowing. But I think I make clothes for regular women like me and women I know, and I think that just makes.
no, definitely. I think that has shown in your label consistently. And you're right. I think it's so hard. I think sometimes you get so lost in either making your label commercially successful or
Yeah.
creatively successful. And I think you really have managed that balance, and it is such a struggle. And I'm sure you're constantly questioning that with every collection.
Creating, kind of have to just ride it, and then it gets better.
Yeah. But more than just a clothing label, you two are a brand of your own with such a strong influence. I mean, you've had what many would consider an unconventional childhood, but I imagine that also helped form a very strong sense of health and, a self, which perhaps reflects in your very distinct sensibility. How did all of that shape the person you are today?
When I was a kid, because I stood out so much, because of my, because of how I looked, and uh, just who I was, my upbringing and my parents and everything that was so unconventional. Um, I decided that I hated standing out so much as a child, because as a child you're just like, can't I just have that kind of hair and that kind of skin and look like everybody else, because it's easier. But when I grew up, and in my, I think maybe in my early 20s is when I realized, and I that I'm going to make this my biggest strength. The fact that I am different is going to be my biggest strength, and I will make that my sort of, it's your thing. And I just um, I just remember feeling like, even when I do my clothes, or even if I do like a brand post or anything, I just want to do it differently. I just want to, and I don't want to be limited. I feel like what happens is, if you're a designer in India, or if you're an actor, or if you're a businesswoman, they say, oh my God, now she's trying everything. But why not? I think our generation is so good at multitasking. We must try everything, and I think just the fact that I can do, I can be on the cover of a magazine, or I can also do a shoot for a brand and like jump in and out of clothes. At the same time, I can be a designer and do fashion. We can do each of them very well. I think I'm very happy to try my hand at multiple things, as long as I don't leave things halfway. I feel like if you're doing something, complete it all the way. So I think I just
Yeah.
made this one thing about myself, my biggest strength, and I think your childhood also shapes me. When you've gone through so much, you just decide that you're always very critical of yourself. So I'm like, I know when I've done a bad collection, and I own it. Because I'm just like, this is so bad. So and I think that saves me a lot of just bash generally, because I think I just bash myself. Like, I could have done this better. So yeah.
No, absolutely. When you say that today you can be on the cover of a magazine, also sell products and design a collection, you're so right. But, in 90s India, when you were growing up, where straight hair, fair skin, light eyes was the ideal. So I understand you have really broken every stereotype. I mean, today, if you look at all the magazine covers all over the world, no more is it just an actor on the cover or it's just a model. There are so many different kinds of people. Today, an activist is on the cover, and I think that is the need of the hour. This is what people want, now. So it's amazing. But what was your moment of reckoning? Like, how did you decide that, oh, I need to go about breaking all these stereotypes?
I don't think anybody really decides that, oh my God, I do this because it's out, or it's out of the ordinary, or I'm going to make a statement by doing this. The only time I actually felt that and I did it was because when I did the Netflix show. Because everyone that I have ever met in my life and everybody that I've interacted with said you do not have to be an actor. And I was just like, but if I'm comfortable in front of the camera and I can say my dialogues and I can look relaxed and convince the audience that I'm actually speaking to them or that I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling. And if I'm a good actor, why can't I be an actor? What does it have to do with the way I look? So I think that for me was the moment of when I decided I have to break this glass ceiling, because if I wouldn't do it, a lot of girls like me would always say, oh, we'll just do something behind the scenes. We'll do something quiet. We'll do like a small role. I remember when the show came to me, I had no idea how it would turn out, because it had never happened in India where you have a designer playing herself and playing her own life out. And I said, I am going to do this, and I am going to show people, one, that I can speak Hindi, which people think I can. Two, that I really, really love the camera, and I'm going to prove it. And three, that anybody can be in front of the camera if you're convincing enough. And so yeah, that was the only moment. But the rest of my life, I think I've only been handed, and I have to say this, I think I've been privileged in many ways. I've been handed a lot of opportunities, but I've never taken anything for granted. I think I've always been somebody who says, you know what, I'm not one show wonder, not one season at Fashion Week and then you don't see me for 3 seasons.
Right.
And you've been there. I mean, I've consistently shows. I've always tried to do them differently.
Yeah.
I just think I get bored very easily. So that whole idea of breaking stereotypes comes, and I'm a rebel at heart, at some level, where I think, if you tell me I can't do something, I will do it thrice and take photos. So yeah.
Well, that really shows, and it's so admirable. But coming to your TV show, and I remember I binge watched it in 6 hours straight and texting because I was blown. I knew you could design. I knew you have style. You're really, you're so vocal about body positivity. But I was like, acting? I didn't see that coming. And I remember texting you being like, Masaba, I am blown. What's going on? Like, how did we not know about this? But tell me, what was the biggest concern about putting yourself out there? You've been very honest through your show. And what was going through your head when you put your whole life out there on TV like that?
I think the one thing that I was a little stressed out about, will people judge the choices I made, and a lot of those choices were on the show. And I said, people will look at me as this person who's just, who makes bad decisions, and I've always had this image, which, and I think my image has always been that of a designer, and doesn't really do much else, doesn't really thankfully. And then suddenly there was this show where I had to kind of just, bear my heart out. And I just think that's a way, because I said that, whatever choices I've made and whatever I have done so far in the last 11 years and whatever you see on the show have all been choices that I have stood by. So if I don't, and they've been choices I have personally made, they're not choices that my mother has made or that someone else has made. So I just decided that, I will stand by it. People anyway are judging me. People are judging others all the time. So maybe this way I control the narrative, and I actually tell you what really happened. And
Right.
you were very clear that I didn't want to do it in a way. The only thing I was about was that anybody in my life who's close to me or has been depicted as a character on the show shouldn't feel shafted or hurt, and or of their life has been revealed, because that's something I don't want to do. But other than that, I said, you know what, I just have to suck it up and take this decision that this is. There are tons of girls out there who probably can't make these decisions sometimes because of fear. When they see this, they will think differently. And that's what happened. After the show, I was flooded with messages from girls that, you know what, we didn't ever think we could leave our husbands, or we didn't ever think that, be a hot mess and make something great out of it. So, like, if it made that kind of an impact, it worked. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. No, thank you for sharing. But tell me, has acting acted like a creative catalyst in some way? I mean, has it been a natural progression of your creative instinct now that you've done it?
Look, it's something I always wanted to do since I was 14. But you know how it is, right? Sometimes you just think I shouldn't say it out loud because they'd be like, why does she want to be an actor? But it definitely was. I think I felt I was a bit nervous before day one of the shoot, but when I went onto set, I was in love. And I think that days or however long I shot the show, I just felt at home. I would look forward to shoot. I would look forward to my scenes. I would look forward to both the fiction and the reality part playing out. I just enjoyed it so much. And I think that for me, that's why that's half the battle. Once you love something, it kind of becomes a natural extension of you. And I was also working on a collection that time. So it was we were doing the collection with Ria. And I was literally, one time where we had night shoots. I had to shoot all night, come back home, take a shower, and go head to office and do the collection. But not once did I feel like, oh my God, designing is becoming hectic. It's becoming hectic. I loved it. I loved them both. So I was great. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize your collection 3 hours at the same time.
Yeah.
Coming to that, most of your girlfriends are entrepreneurs in their own right. What is your girls' night conversation like?
It's they so Ria's boyfriend calls us the cult, which is really funny because he's like, you guys in your power pajamas these days are just walking in and having these like FaceTime sessions and just talking about power and talking about how you can get better. It's just great because it's so inspiring. I will say this, that it's so important to surround yourself with people who at least have the same goal. And it could be different things. It could be in different phases of different pace of their own lives. But at least the goal is that, I want to prove myself. And I will prove myself. And I will not be defeated, So I think that is definitely something that really helps, because whenever chat on the phone or even exchanging texts, everything is about, no, you cannot give up, and especially in this lockdown. I got called. So it's been more about that. But I think that's your tribe, right? That defines your state of mind. It defines how you go about your day. It defines how you see life. And when you know that you have other women standing by you and going through the same thing, it just makes it easy.
No, that support system is so important. And And over the last few years, it's been such a big part of your life as well. And it's great when you see like two friends come up with a collaboration together, and the fact that you don't have to compete with each other, you can actually come together and do something.
Collab.
It's
Always.
totally. But tell us about the women who shaped your life in a big way.
Definitely my mom. Um, Also, I had a lady who was looking after me since I was 1 year old, and she, literally was taking care of me when my mom was away shooting. Um, she never had a partner. She lived life, on her own terms. Her whole life, she's still with us, and I just resilience from her, and I mean, her job was just to, make sure I'm eating and make sure I'm playing and stuff like that. But I learned so much by just watching her. She does everything for herself. She's always on a diet. she's always herself. She goes for a walk on the beach every evening, and she just only takes care of herself. And I think when you talk about self-love, it's such an urban concept, you think, but it's not. I think these women who literally have come from nothing, they teach you more about self-love than you ever know in a book or by, reading some big celebrity's memoir. So I think that was great for me. And yeah, I think these women have, both of them, they've been very, very influential in the way I think.
Yeah, and your mother has followed her own path, picking
Yeah.
unconventional roles. She's never let her personal life take over her professional. What were your biggest takeaways from her journey?
One was that she never let her discipline. It never shook. It was always in one place. I don't think she ever like had that extra drink, or slept extra hour, or
Wow.
missed her evening walk, or decided that she's going to binge for 3 days, or decided that she's going to reduce working just because now she has a child to take care of. She just had this discipline, has been the same for the past, what, like now 30 years that she's been acting, maybe more. And at one time she was writing, directing, producing and acting in her own show, and she was raising, and there was never a moment where I felt like, oh, I have to go to set and meet her, or I have to do something different in my routine to make sure I spend time with my mother. It was always. So I think that was the one thing I learned from her, that your discipline defines who you are. And I'm like that. Like, I'm like regimented, like you cannot imagine. It's almost annoying to know me. But that was one. The second was that, love means different things at different stages in your life. Sometimes when
Yeah.
you're young, it's more about chemistry, and it's all about, how you feel around that person, and you travel and things like that. Then it becomes more about companionship and friendship. And then you're just like roommates, who can talk about everything. So that I learned from her, that, love always means different things. Don't be hung up on the idea that love means butterflies in
Right.
your stomach, because it won't always stay. These
Yeah.
were the takeaways from her.
That is so lovely, actually. That it keeps changing, and you're right. And I think we need to evolve with that.
Yeah, and we need to
What
be comfortable with evolving with that.
and accepting it. I think acceptance is such a big part of this.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you would tell young girls right now?
Firstly, don't stress out, because everything really does work out. Sometimes you think that there's a roadblock in your way, but it's really not. Sometimes it's just clearing your path for something better. Second is always work. You know, um, you could be a home baker. You could be somebody who just loves, who has a little nursery in her house, or you could be sitting as CEO of a big company, or you could be a startup. I just think you always have to work. And that validation that we seek.
I think I lost you for
Sorry,
a
I got
second.
another
Huh?
call.
No problem.
So that validation that comes which we so often seek from men, or we so often seek from the way we look, or a new handbag that we buy. I think it come tenfold if you work and you have your own money. I think that's very important. The minute a woman is financially independent, she can take on the world. She doesn't need. So I think that I will. And thirdly, I'd say, young girls, women are women's best friends, but can also be each other's worst enemies. I think we've seen so many examples of that. So I would really say be kinder to each other, and uplift the other, because I think sometimes I hear women say things about other women that even men don't, and that's just so unfortunate. So I think we should really uplift one another, and always do the right thing as much as you can.
Thank you. I feel like this is so important for everyone to hear right now. And I cannot tell you how many people are so inspired by you, Masaba. So thank you for sharing this and sharing your thoughts and how important it is to work. I feel that is something we need to keep saying every day. And you're right, work, whatever work means to you, What is it like to be a woman in 2020? I mean,
it's both terrifying and uplifting. I think it's the best time and the worst time to be a woman, because I think I say best time because I think the opportunities are, today we are at par with men like never before. Men are slowly warming up to the idea of a woman being at par with them, so that's great. And I think women no longer are considered as just women who are supposed to give birth to children and stay at home and look after. Today they can do that and also work. And more importantly, they can make the choice of doing either or, you know. And I think with why I say terrifying is because I just think that the state today that we're in terms of safety and just the general unrest that comes with being a woman in the country today, I think is just it's amplified. A lot of people I know don't feel safe sending their kids out. It's just uncertain everything. But I think it's more it's a much more uplifting time than it is terrifying. So let's make the most of it.
oh, absolutely. And I think we only have time for one more question. I can't believe time has flown by so fast.
Yeah.
But the last year has given us all a moment of pause and a lot of reflecting, and especially fashion, I feel, is moving in a very conscious direction. What are your thoughts on sustainability, and how do you hope to get that kind of consciousness into your label even more?
The thing, Priyanka, is that sustainability requires sustainability, and by that I mean that business first in its organic shape and form needs to be sustainable. Only once that happens can you actually talk about sustainability at a larger scale. Sustainability requires money, it requires experience, and it requires time. Because say, for example, there's so many things that you think are sustainable, but they are only doing more damage. The wastage is more, etc. For example, tell me that tomorrow, okay, Masaba, let's make it 100% sustainable brand, which means that I throw away all my packaging, all of the stuff that I have built over the last few years, and then I just make it worse for the environment. So I think it's a very, very, very slow moving train, sustainability, and I think everyone will have to jump on it because it's the only way forward for the planet. But I think for me, we did this great collection with the United Nations last year, which was to ban plastic pollution, single-use plastic. And it was such a big success because we had clothes that become bags.
Yes.
Now, how consumers are actually using clothes that turn into bags, we don't know. So, the reality is out there. So, one, it's very important to have a consumer who understands sustainability, who's willing to pay for sustainability. And I think we as a brand, of course, to every extent that we can, since last year, we have tried to use lesser plastic, make sure that everything we do is a bit more sustainable. Of course, I think now with everyone working from home, I think the carbon footprint is much, much lower in any case. And I hope that some shape or form of this continues over the next year as well. But I think I can only talk about sustainability from my brand's point of view, maybe 10 years down the line. That's truly how
Right.
long.
Yeah, no, and I love that you're so honest about that, because it does take that long to completely make your business sustainable.
Longer for young brands like me,
Yeah,
because if you're a bigger brand, you just have more resources to get things done. You know,
correct.
and like for real, I think it took us about 6 or 7 months to just get rid of all the single-use plastic we had in our workshop. So that is
Yeah,
the round, and I really urge people. I see so many people on social media saying that will be sustainable. Of course, we are in the way that we can be, in the way that we can conserve. But a lot of sustainability is also a lot of wastage. So we have to be
but
careful.
do you also feel like your clients are now consuming fashion more consciously? Like, do you feel the need for lesser collections, lesser pieces, more versatile pieces in your collection? Is that something you are also thinking about?
So for me, sustainability right now means doing less. So instead of 4 collections here, we're going to be doing 2. And see, because the consumer, and it's a give and take relationship. Consumers also taste it where they say you don't want a new piece for every outing. We will repeat our clothes. We are happy to buy a one-time piece which is classic and lasts in our wardrobe forever. So I
Yeah,
think made life easier for us because you have 2 collections a year, which is great. What we do is, of course, we space it out to, just have that sense of freshness and newness. But we have started to do that in terms of the beauty line that we did. We tried to make sure that launch lesser but just better products, and space them out so that the consumer has an idea of something fresh and something new happening pretty much every 6 months.
right.
But that's it. I think the consumer has to warm up to the idea of sustainability first.
No, absolutely. And you've done beauty, jewelry, a Game of Thrones collection, your iconic print on a Kurkure packet. I mean, what avenues do you hope to expand Masaba, the brand, into next?
I really want to do a skincare line. And that is like all my energy right now going in that direction because
Wow.
an organic Ayurvedic skincare line, which I'm done. And of course, try and make the House of Masaba a bit more of a leaner business. I think what the pandemic taught us is that you have to have a business that can sustain pretty much everything, and it can weather anything. So I think that's something that I'm doing. But with respect to collaborations, my plan is to really take it slow. I think we've done a lot. I now want to create my own brands. I don't want to collaborate so much. I think the time has come to have a Masaba print quite literally on everything.
Agree. I completely agree.
Me like skincare because I just love skincare. I have had a personal journey with skincare, and I can't wait to share it with the world.
Oh, how amazing. So I cannot wait for your skincare because, like you, it's going to be real and authentic. Before I sign off, I think every question is there a season 2 of Masaba Masaba?
Well, fingers crossed. I thought if I say more, but yeah, fingers crossed. And I think the love that we've gotten for season 1 has been amazing. So hopefully get some more for season 2. But yeah, hopefully.
Amazing. But thank you so much. We have to get off today now. But thank you for doing this and thank you for sharing your journey with everyone here today.
Thanks, Priyanka. See you soon.
Bye. Hopefully see you in person soon.
Yes.
Bye.